And actually, we continue with the chemical recycling. So actually, the next presentation is sustainable biomass sources supporting recycled streams in the textile value chain. And presenters are Heli Virkki from Expand Fiber project and Fortum company, as well as Katriina Kemppainen from Metsä Group. So please, Heli and Katriina, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Kirsi, and thank you so much for the opportunity of for us to give this presentation and tell you about Expand Fiber and Fortum's and Metsä's approach. So we will be sharing the presentation with Katriina. So my name is Heli Virkki from Fortum, and I'm the program manager for the Expand Fiber from Fortum's side.
Yes, hi, my name is Katriina Kemppainen and I come from Metsä Group and I'm the program manager of Expand Fiber for Metsä Group side.
And as you can imagine, so we have been giving this presentation some times already since the beginning of the program. So we will be taking turns. So bear with us. Okay, let's get started. So first of all, so our topic is sustainable biomass sources and how they can support recycled streams in the textile value chain, and what is actually the link now to Expand Fiber, and why we are here also both of us speaking. So is because both Fortum and Metsä, we have both our, let's say, approaches to the sustainable textiles topic, but they are a bit different, however complementary. So we will be taking turns then in sharing our both approaches. So Expand Fiber started from a funding call about 1 year ago, placed by Business Finland towards large companies within the area of bioeconomy. And at that point, Fortum and Metsä joined forces in a joint application, and then in a few months became one of the 3 so-called veturi programs who got the first funding. And yeah, it's a 4-year program, an R&D collaboration, and we are quite soon celebrating already the first anniversary. Here in the middle of the screen or the slide, you can see the theme areas we are working within, and the first 2 ones from the left-hand side, so the textiles and biocomposites are the areas that we are having joint efforts, so joint projects together with Fortum and Metsä. And certainly the textile topic, the textile area is let's say the flagship or the leading theme in Expand Fiber. And on top of the actual R&D collaboration program, so one task set for the veturi companies was to establish an innovation ecosystem, and the target is was still to promote activities, so basically product and technology development within these named theme areas, and also after the program has ended, so to facilitate then the commercialization of these product and technology developments. And we have currently 47 member organizations, which you can see here, which are currently actively bringing up their ideas and discussing and sharing their vision about the bioproduct development ideas. Then Katriina, please.
Yes, so very briefly about Metsä Group, because it's good to understand how is it and why is it that we plan to link and perhaps enter the textile value chain in the future with a certain source of sustainable biomass. So for Metsä Group, that is certainly northern wood. And that is because we are mostly owned by a cooperative of forest owners, and Metsä in fact means forest. So we are indeed the forest group, and we really start from the raw material. We start from sustainably managed northern Finnish forests that are owned by private forest owners, our cooperative members. That's the starting point for us. And if you take the next slide, currently Metsä Group has these 5 business areas that you see here. There is Metsä Forest doing the wood supply and forest services to our cooperative members. We produce certain wood products, LVL plywood, then we produce paper grade pulp and sawn timber, and then paperboard and tissue and greaseproof papers. And I personally come from Metsä Spring, which is the innovation company of Metsä Group you see here below. And Metsä Spring is in charge of certain new business developments, such as this textile fiber development that I will soon tell you a bit more about. But please, Heli, you can continue.
You. So very briefly about Fortum. Fortum is a European energy company, also providing services and solutions for improved resource efficiency. Within the Expand Fiber, there are 2 legal entities within Fortum participating, Fortum Power and Heat, which is basically here equal to Fortum Bio2X, which I will be telling more about a bit later on, and then Fortum Recycling and Waste, which is basically taking care of the plastics recycling operations in Finland. The background for Fortum's, let's say, biorefining activities lies in the thought and in the mega trend of societies becoming more and more electrified, and that the electricity will arise more and more from sustainable renewable resources like solar and wind. And that certainly leaves then the biomass to be utilized for, let's say, more value-added uses and applications for let's say, more longer life applications. And this is this biomass bio area is one of the key strategic areas of Fortum. In addition to the sustainable materials, which the recycling of plastics and for example precious metals from batteries represent, and then together with carbon capture and storage, as well as green hydrogen technologies. Then over to Katarina.
Yes. So I trust that the audience here already is familiar with the textile fiber, the growing demand for textile fibers and growing demand for man-made cellulosic fibers in the future. So perhaps there is this question of how to make, you can read this in 2 ways, how to make more sustainable MMCF, how to make the MMCF production more sustainable, and also how to make just simply more of it, because the demand is growing and we need to be able to make much more of it in the future, hopefully in a very sustainable way. So the current raw material and the value chain is about what you see here. We have dissolving pulp being made from wood, and then going all the way through the long value chain into garments and other uses. So how to answer this question here? Of course, perhaps number 1, what that we really need to start doing is to close the loop by recycling. And Professor Sixta just explained certain ways how to make it. I won't go into this in more detail, but of course we need to promote circular economy. We need to get this working. We cannot waste the raw materials or the valuable materials. We need to get them back into the cycle, hopefully upcycled and used in the best way possible. There are big challenges there, and the road is long ahead, since we are still very in early stages there. But what else is it that we can do to make more sustainable MMCF. So of course we need to look at how the virgin raw materials and the fibers made from virgin raw materials, what can we do in that field? We can certainly improve the raw materials, make sure that we use only the most sustainable raw materials, cellulose sources that they are, and that we process them in the most sustainable way. And one example is perhaps widening the scope of materials, the woody materials that we can use. And currently it is pretty much only dissolving pulp going into the production, but that's a minority grade of pulp available, and this paper grade pulp is much larger stream of pulp available in the world. And if we want to make sure that we use only certified wood and we use only most sustainable wood, it might be good if we can tap also into that larger source of woody cellulose, the paper grade pulp. And then we need to look outside of the wood. We need to look at completely new sustainable raw materials that can be side streams, but that are still in a way virgin materials, not recycled post or pre-consumer textiles. And straw, perhaps also other agro feedstocks could serve this purpose, and Heli will tell more about the impacts that you get if you are able to do this. But let's go to the next slide. I will very shortly just tell about Metsä Group's new textile fiber that is called Kuura. It's a brand that we launched this spring, but a long development behind and still a long road ahead, of course. Kuura we make sure that it is traceable. We know where the wood and where the wood comes from and how the fiber is made. We make sure it is recyclable after use, and our own production is closed looped and circular. As Herbert explained, these are biodegradable fibers, and we can also make sure that it is quite locally produced, since we aim at producing the textile fibers in integrates with the pulp production, and the wood comes from a very short, actually narrow radius outside of the big integrate. And this is how we can reach sustainable, ecological and socially wise sustainable fiber. And if you take the next slide, a bit more still about the biomass source. I think it is because of this cooperative structure that we have quite a unique ability to really know where the wood comes from. So we know where it comes from. We know the structure of Finnish forest management and how it is owned. It is owned by families, and these families are the owner members of our cooperative. We know that in Finland, the total volume of trees is growing all the time. So they are a huge carbon sink. And even if we would use a little bit more wood annually, they would still remain as a sink. They are constantly absorbing more and more CO2 from the atmosphere. Finland is heavily forested, and the biodiversity is taken care of in a high level with a number of different initiatives and forest management ways that we provide to our owner members to make sure that the animals and plants and human recreational use goes alongside with the industrial use. If you take the next slide, this is where we are at the moment. We are in a demo plant phase. We have a demo plant up and running in Äänekoski bioproduct mill next to it. And we are testing the technology, which is also based on ionic liquids. And we are aiming at commercialization in the future once we know that everything is ready for that. So this is the status of Metsä, and we hope to be able to sell a highly sustainable textile fiber made from the sustainable biomass that is needed to top up the circular flows in the future. Then to Heli.
Thank you. So I will tell briefly about Fortum's approach to the sustainable textile fiber topic. And as Katarina already mentioned, so Fortum Biotuex has chosen locally produced agricultural residue streams as outgoing material. So basically meaning that we are starting up and developing new business of chemical fractionation of agricultural residues into value-added products. And textile fiber, or actually before that, the cellulose from that straw fiber or straw raw material is one of the products from these chemical fractionation plants. As being a residual raw material, so it naturally includes some beneficial properties in terms of the sustainability. If you think about the end product properties, so of course there are benefits in the product LCAs. Then when we think about some adverse effects, for example, arising from burning of the straws or on the fields in Asia, so we offer alternative uses for those straw residues. Then thinking about the local effects, so especially in those rural areas, so this kind of business offers new earning logics for those societies. Then again, there is a global approach in terms of the process being scalable and flexible to utilize different kinds of straws and residues. And that, of course, turns into also a variety of products in the product portfolio. As these biorefineries, they will produce different fractions of biomass, so multiple fractions. So on top of cellulose, there is a lignin stream and hemicellulose stream in order to, let's say, reach the material efficiency high enough, and also the economical viability. Also, if we look at the fiber line itself, so the unit operations producing cellulose, so there will also be alternative usages for the cellulose in addition to the textiles and nonwovens. So there will be different paper application related grades to be produced in those biorefineries. Fortum launched its own textile fiber trademark this spring called Bio2Textile, and this stands for a textile fiber made out of fractionated straw pulp. Fortum is conducting development work and testing with different sustainable textile fiber technologies like Infinited Fiber Company and Spinnova, and we are still in the development phase to find the right properties, optimized properties for the textile fiber or fibers. Where we are currently, so we have taken the first step to take the chemical fractionation technology into industrial scale, and this is happening in India, in the county of Assam, where the first biorefinery will utilize locally sustainably produced bamboo and will be producing bioethanol, biochemicals, and energy. And this will be, let's say, the first phase of verifying and proving the concept of the chemical fractionation technology before the next step of taking this fractionation technology into the, let's say, the full utilization of separating all the lignocellulosic components from each other.
Elios, time is up. So can you wrap?
Yes, this is my first, my last slide. So we realized this is a long journey, and thus we are inviting you all to join us to reach the high targets. And if there are any questions, so me and Katarina are happy to answer now in the chat or later on by email. Thank you.
Thank you, Heli and Katarina. This is so interesting that so many new technical innovation are happening in Finland. So that's so inspiring, and